This is Dropping Hints.
I'm Alex.
I'm Silas.
In this podcast, you'll catch a glimpse of our everyday conversations. All right, ready?
Ready. We're going to count it down. 5. You take the rest.
4, 3, 2.
As you were counting down there, I was thinking of something. I watched a what do they call it? Drill instructors video. This is not going to go anywhere. You're just gonna have to trust me. I watched a drill sergeant video, and whenever they're like in the Marines and they're like, you know, they want you to like get your bunk ready or whatever, and you have to like take all your stuff out of this knapsack and like set up your bed and all that kind of stuff. The drill sergeants will be like, "Everything out of your bag right now. Do you understand? Yes, sir. Take everything out of your knapsack. Do it now. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You are done, sir." And then they shout out, "Done, sir," when they're done. And just as you were counting down now, I was thinking that because I saw this last one that I watched. It was like
How did my
5
countdown remind you of that?
Just that it was a countdown. And this drill sergeant,
like
he was, I don't know if he was just doing this to save his voice. I don't know if his voice was already gone, but he was like, he sounded like a pack-a-day smoker. He was like, "You're going to come down here. You're going to go up in my box, and you're going to do this, and you're going to go there. You understand?"
Every good drill sergeant is. Yeah, careful. Need some water?
Pardon me, I don't have the voice for that. I try to keep my voice as smooth and silky as possible.
Now you just sound like a robot. You sound like you're scripted, Silas.
I'd like to give a moment to our sponsor, Audible.
There's nothing audible about the words that you just said.
Those are true robot readers. We're not, no, we don't have sponsors. We're not famous enough to do sponsors. Besides, we're not shills.
What's a shill?
We'll talk about it on a different episode. It's nothing bad. Well, I mean, it has negative connotations, but it's not like a swear word. It's not like a dirty word. It does sound kind of filthy.
I'm not really cultured on all this lingo.
You would think with as much SpongeBob as we watched, you'd be cultured. We just watched the other, I think we watched that episode, Culture Shock, the other day. Is that the one where SpongeBob sculpts the sculpture and the art dealer thinks it's... No, Culture Shock is the one...
The
talent show, yeah.
Jeez.
Artist Unknown is the other one.
Yeah.
Well, the point about that I'm getting to, that I'm manipulating the conversation towards...
Ooh, I love it when you do that.
is that we are not famous.
What?
I know. The whole millions of voices just cried out in relief. As I said, we are not famous.
A silent sigh of relief, because if we were, that would be pretty sad.
It would be, well, look, there are worse people that are, I don't mean worse like evil. I just mean worse. Like there are worse things to be famous. Yeah. But it got me thinking, which I just thought of this earlier, like right before we started recording. I was like, what would we like to be famous? Not we as the podcast. We're not plugging the podcast here. I'm just saying, what would we as individuals, with our individual liberty, day 4, with our individual liberties, what would we want to be famous for?
Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts?
Well, I think if I can speak for you first.
Sure, I wasn't going to speak for myself or do something stupid like that.
I think I think that you would be famous for like inventing some sort of chemical compound or new drug that helps people. Not in that way, them. But helps them. You get what I'm saying? I think that's what you'd be famous for.
That is what I think would be really cool. It would be neat to discover a new reaction. I could name it.
I don't think, there's no offense, please. I don't think that you'd be famous as being a violin soloist or whatever. Just because the people who are becoming famous for that
they're much better than I am.
Trained musicians for their entire lives since they were 2.5 years old. So
I could maybe get like Instagram fame on like a certain level.
Oh, you could.
I always thought if there was anything superficial to be famous for, it would be like, and we're not talking about like, oh, what do you want to be known for? Like, what's legacy? What's your legacy?
No,
that's not what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about literal like
what would you
recognition.
What would you do if you were famous? What would you do if you were a celebrity, just overnight? Let's pick anything.
I would just do my best.
You're a celebrity in, let's just go with violin.
I would do my best to plug the smaller musicians that I really like, looking
out for the little man.
Like, yeah, like if I was like for some reason just instantaneously more like known than them, then I would be like, well, I'm gonna like cover their material as best as I can, however that would work. I'm gonna cover their material, and then like people are gonna maybe like see it and then go see them, and then they'll be like, yo, you're so cool, wow. And I'm like, yeah, I know, thanks, I'm looking out for the little guy. But if I was to go viral, go famous for one thing, I would always have thought that I would want it to be like for my stories or for my memes.
I knew you were
all of which are the
that.
same thing. I mean, most of them are just memes, but sometimes there's like a personal story. But
well, I don't know. You don't have too many celebrities who go viral for their memes.
No, yeah, I mean, there were like Viners and stuff like that.
I mean,
they did that,
but they come and go.
They were
fade.
like, right. I mean, they just basically come and go and fade as often as the social media platform changes, which these days they're shutting down social media platforms left and right. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I'm not gonna name any by name, but
So you'd be famous in your mind. You'd be famous for your sense of humor.
Yes.
Yeah.
Frankly.
So, what would you do with all the money?
Well, everybody knows you don't get money for that. But if I had money, I don't know.
What would you do with all the fame?
What I would do with all the fame is literally just try and make as many people just think like that was really funny. My day is brightened because of that meme.
I think you need to do is, if you're in that position, if I ever get in that position, I feel like I need to do as much as I can to not be vain with it, like just taking more for myself. No, that's not the right thing.
No, yeah. It would be like, I would be like, okay, let me see what I can do to give more people like a happier little day, or like, some funny meme that they can think about, or like a funny clip that I post that they're like, oh, that was really funny, and like it just made me happy to see it.
Yeah. I mean, you need to be more than a philanthropist, though, because we got plenty of those. But
some of which are also caped crusaders that beat the living daylights out of criminals at night.
Right.
I
think we're thinking about the same person.
Do you understand?
I think we're thinking about
the same person. What do you mean you
person.
think we're thinking about the same person? There's only one person who matches the description of being a philanthropist and goes out at night and beats criminals to a pulp.
Okay.
I mean, there's pretty much only one. There's one that everybody should instantaneously think of when I say that.
Right.
His name rhymes with Catman, and he has some loose relation to the coronavirus these days. Only if you eat him.
Yeah.
Where were we?
I don't know. You derailed us.
We were talking about fame. Fortune. He shall have fame. Fortune. Anything his heart desires. Anything. SpongeBob reference.
Yeah.
What would you do with fame? What did you do? Did you ever have a dream where you do? What would you want to be famous for? Even Instagram famous, which just is my definition of superficiality.
I don't know if I would want to be just like Instagram famous, like in the way that you described of your memes and stories, because that's a lot of pressure. I don't think I'd be able to live up to it.
Only if you put yourself under that pressure, you know what I'm saying?
I don't know. I feel like I would want to invent something or do something like revolutionary.
Well, you don't have to set your expectations of revolutionary too high. You don't have to be the first guy to walk on the moon or anything. We already got a guy that does that, and he's dead.
Well, that would be pretty awesome. You got people nowadays like Elon Musk trying to push the envelope, go to Mars. It's like, I think that if I were famous, I'd probably want to be famous along those lines of pushing the envelope of
human knowledge,
human endeavor. Yeah.
Human understanding.
Right.
Should I punch in on my fingers when I do that?
Yeah, sure. How are our listeners gonna know what you're doing?
You'll just have to imagine a close up of my fingers doing
Can't
a
punch
little
in audio.
crab pincher.
Yeah.
thing. I'll just. There you go.
There's your sound bite for the day.
There's your soundbite.
Yeah, well, so I think that's like along the veins of what I would prefer to be famous in. Not that I prefer to be famous. I kind of like being
There's something nice
unknown.
about being like putting stuff out there sometimes, and like not putting stuff out there. That's not what I'm saying.
Like okay, I would want to be the guy who helps build the Saturn V rocket that took people to the moon. I'd want to be the guy that like helped design that thing. I wouldn't want to be the guy necessarily. It would be cool, but that's not what I can't see myself in that position of being, Neil Armstrong on the moon, or something of that endeavor. I feel like I would be someone behind the scenes making it happen, supporting the main people making things happen.
The main people.
Not the people from Maine, just the main people.
There was a Victorious episode where Sinjin went over to Tori's house.
Yeah.
And he's like super out of breath, and she's like, "What's wrong?" And he's like, "You live at the top of a very large hill." She's like, "You walked here?" He's like, I don't usually get asked over to the main people's houses." She's like, "What?" It was a great little fourth wall breaking moment.
Yeah. Yeah, but I don't know what I'd do with the money. I'd probably...
Well, I mean, how much money would you really get for constructing a defective rocket? Or an effective rocket?
I'm not saying that that's what I would do. I'd say it's something along those lines. My field isn't aerospace engineering, okay? So I'm probably not going to do that.
Right. It would be like you made like a bridge that like... in Dark Souls?
Yeah.
And Orlando, how the bridge rotates.
Yeah.
You push the lever, and then the gargoyle comes, and he's like, "Bah, you moved my bridge."
Yeah.
I am the gargoyle bridge troll.
When you said that reminded me kind of like a Walt Disney type of person. Where, obviously...
Now that's progress.
Now, he had the... his main claim to fame was with like his storytelling through motion pictures, cartoons. Mickey Mouse.
He didn't have Instagram stories, so he couldn't do that, but he had everything else.
Yeah. So, but you got like all the Disney parks, which his vision to see those things happen, vision of one guy
has led to the Mandalorian.
Pretty much.
Not really, obviously, because George Lucas was completely independent from that.
Yeah.
But I'm sure Lucas was inspired by Walt.
Yeah.
We're on a first name basis.
I think somehow like utilizing the creative muscles in your brain to produce something tangible that's also creative, that's also spectacular.
But who can define what is creative?
We're not having this. This is not what the episode's about.
I saw a painting by a chimpanzee the other day.
Really?
It looked like he just threw a bunch of paint on the canvas because a chimpanzee freaking painted it. So don't think you would expect too much. But some would say, okay, like what is creativity? You see these weird modern impressionist paint. I don't know if that's the right term. So freaking don't crucify me, art fans. But you see these like paintings where it's just like, it just looks like mindless splatter, and it's like they sell for millions and millions of dollars. Or the freaking banana that they taped to the wall that sold for how much. And it's like,
those memes died a long time ago.
You see that and you're like, I realize that on a technical level, maybe you can't rule it out as a creative work of art, but on a fundamental human level of understanding, there has to be a threshold where you just look at somebody and say, that's stupid. like look at this banana taped to the wall. I can't. I go. I can't. We can't. I know we don't exist in a world where the majority of people
exist in the world.
Where the majority of people would look at that and say, "That's high art. That's great. That's amazing. That's incredible." I feel like we live in a world where most people would look at that and say, "That's the dumbest thing I've ever seen."
But they're famous for it.
But they're famous for it, right? So thereby redefining what is creativity. There is a degree of ambiguity within creativity.
Bottom line, how would you spend $1 million?
Come closer to the microphone.
How would you spend $1 million, Silas?
$1 million. How would I spend $1 million? Well, okay, before or after taxes? And
it's tax-free money.
Under what administration?
You taking wait, just tell me what you spend it on.
Okay, $1 million. Let's just say flat out after tax, it's $1 million. So, maybe I made 1.4. Whatever the case. Let's just say I've got that money in the bank or in my pocket. Big pockets.
I just said that, yes.
I'm thinking about it. That's why I'm stalling. $1 million. Well, obviously you can't live on that for
Would
very
you invest
long.
it?
I would definitely not just spend it on a bunch of stupid things, because I obviously am not I'm not just sitting in my house thinking, man, if only I had this thing, that would be great. I wish I had this thing. I don't see like a cool car where some people see like a Tesla and they're like, whoa, I would love to like buy a Tesla. I'm like, give me like a 2014 Prius or something like that. Just something that has good mileage that I can save on gas before it goes back to $5 a gallon, and that I can just have. And
so you'd buy a bunch of Priuses?
No, I would buy one Prius. I would buy one Prius. Not, I mean, I don't know, maybe like a brand new model. I don't know, but I wouldn't I would probably just save it. I would just save it, and I would probably want to invest some of it in like stocks, I assume is what you mean by investing, right?
Sure.
Well, I mean, I get that also covers, I guess, like flipping houses, which that's a type of investing that I am not gonna do. So it's like,
it was meant to be like a quick wrap up question.
Yeah, I know, but you can't just. I would literally put it in my savings account or my Roth IRA and be like, sit over there, just sit in the corner. I don't know, do what you want to do. I would maybe take like $100,000 and just say like, this is gonna be like my like fun like spending money for the next like, I don't know, couple of years, several years, because I cannot imagine blowing through $100,000 on stupid fun things in like a manner of years. I don't know. I think that other people would be surprised at me and my ability to just be like, not my ability, but my desire to just be like, I don't want to just buy things. Except maybe like storage containers to like put things away. And then just have like a nice, clean, empty, minimalist house. That's what next time on Dropping Hits, Hoarding Buried Alive.
You want to know how I'd spend $1 million?
Yes.
New podcast equipment.